My name is Courtney Nelson. I was 30 years old in August 2022, working as a software engineer in Boston. I had built my life carefully, brick by brick, line by line of code, long hours, late nights, no shortcuts. By then, I had saved nearly $700,000 through disciplined investing and frugal living. I didn't buy designer handbags. I didn't take lavish vacations. I didn't even upgrade my car when I could easily afford to. But one evening, after a routine phone call with my mom, something hit me. It had been nearly 3 years since our family had taken a trip together. My parents were retired in Connecticut. My older sister Amanda worked nearby. I only saw them on holidays, and even those dinners had grown tense. Questions about my career, subtle comments about being too focused on work, the usual. That night, sitting alone in my Boston apartment overlooking the harbor lights, I made a decision. I would take my family to Hawaii. Not just anywhere, Kona. A luxury resort, coral reef snorkeling, volcano hiking, sunset cruise dinners. A dream trip my parents had always talked about but never taken. 2 days later, I drove to Connecticut with a folder full of itineraries. When I walked through the door, I smiled and said, "I have a surprise." After explaining everything, my mother hugged me tightly. "Courtney, this is the most meaningful gift anyone has ever given us." My father, a man who rarely showed emotion, squeezed my shoulder. "Thank you, sweetheart. We've always dreamed of Hawaii." Amanda jumped up, already scrolling through beach dresses. "When are we going? I need new swimwear." Watching their joy filled me with warmth. For once, I wasn't the quiet, career-obsessed daughter. I was the one bringing everyone together. I didn't know I was also walking into a trap. 2 nights later, my phone rang. "Mom." Her voice was unusually excited. "Courtney, I was thinking, let me help you book everything. I have more time now." I hesitated. "I've already planned it." "Oh, and could you reopen the supplementary credit card? It'll be easier to handle payments." That card. Last year, I had opened it so she could buy medication when needed. I later discovered questionable department store purchases and quietly closed it. A flicker of unease passed through me. But then she said softly, "Let me do this for you. I want to be part of preparing this beautiful gift." I sighed. "Okay, I'll transfer the $12,000 to your account." When I hit send, something inside me tightened. A week later, during a meeting, Mom called again, this time anxious. "Your dad's blood pressure is high. The doctor says he should rest before flying." Panic surged through me. "Do I need to come home?" No, just rest. We should postpone the trip a month." "Of course," I said immediately. "Dad's health comes first." Before hanging up, I asked, "Have you booked anything yet?" "Not yet," she answered quickly. "I was waiting." I believed her. 2 weeks later, my phone buzzed. A message from Mark, an old college friend. "Hey, I thought you were in Hawaii. Why aren't you in the photos?" My stomach dropped. Attached was a photo. White sand, blue water, Kona. Amanda, my parents, and Blake Parker, Amanda's wealthy boyfriend. Not me. My hands trembled as I opened Amanda's Facebook. Blocked. I created a fake account, and there they were. Caption after caption. Dream family vacation. Thanks, Blake, for organizing everything. Perfect sunset dinner at Manta. Manta, the restaurant I had researched. The sunset cruise I had planned. Blake sat between my parents like he had always belonged. In one comment, someone asked, "Where's Courtney?" Amanda replied, "She's too busy with work." Too busy. Not excluded. Not lied to. Too busy. I felt something crack inside my chest. They hadn't just stolen my money. They had erased me. And as I stared at the screen, another memory resurfaced. The night Blake first entered our home. That was when everything truly began. And I should have seen it. I should have seen all of it. But I didn't. I sat on my couch in Boston, the glow of my phone burning into my eyes, scrolling through picture after picture of my family living the vacation I had paid for, with a man I barely knew standing in my place. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped the phone. But anger wasn't the first thing I felt. It was something colder, a realization. This wasn't random. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't plans changed. This was intentional. And as the shock slowly settled into my bones, my mind did what it always does when life turns unreal. It started replaying old footage. The night Blake Parker came into our house. The first time I understood, without anyone saying it out loud, exactly where I ranked in my own family. A month before the trip, we had our usual family dinner at my parents' place in Connecticut. Amanda called me in the afternoon, voice bright like she'd won something. "Courtney, I'm bringing someone tonight." I remember pausing in my car outside my apartment, keys still in my hand. "Someone like a friend?" No, she said, stretching the word like it was a secret. Someone special. When I pulled into my parents' driveway that evening, the first thing I noticed wasn't the porch light. It was the BMW 7 Series parked beside my dad's old sedan. New, polished, expensive enough that it looked out of place in front of our modest house. A small detail, but it made my stomach tighten in that quiet, instinctive way, like when you walk into a room and feel the air has changed. I stepped inside. Amanda was practically glowing. "Courtney," she said, grabbing my arm. "Meet Blake Parker." Blake stood up like he was rising from a throne. Tall, mid-30s, perfect posture. That kind of smooth confidence that doesn't ask permission. It assumes it has it. He extended his hand. "Nice to meet you, Courtney. Amanda's told me a lot." His smile was polished, but his eyes, they flicked over me like he was evaluating a product. And there it was, gleaming on his wrist. A Rolex Daytona. I shook his hand anyway, forcing politeness into my voice. "Nice to meet you too." Blake chuckled softly. "Amanda says you work in tech." Before I could answer, my parents came in from the kitchen, and the shift in them happened so fast it was almost embarrassing. My mother's eyes widened like she'd just seen a celebrity. My dad straightened his shoulders. Blake stepped forward, all charm and practiced warmth. He shook my father's hand, then, without hesitation, leaned in and gave my mother a hug that felt too familiar for a first meeting. I remember watching it and thinking, who does that? But my mother didn't pull away. She smiled like she'd been waiting for that hug her whole life. Then Blake handed them gifts. To my father, a bottle of 25-year-old Macallan whiskey. To my mother, the latest Gucci handbag still in its box. My mom gasped like a teenager. "Oh my goodness," she breathed, stroking the bag. "Blake, this is so thoughtful." I stared, stunned. My mom had never once mentioned Gucci. She used the same purse for years, until the strap frayed. But now? She looked at that handbag like it was proof that Amanda had won. My dad held up the whiskey, grinning. "Excellent taste. We'll enjoy this after dinner." Blake gave a modest nod. My father collects. I learned from him. I felt invisible, not because anyone said I was, but because in that moment, they all moved like I wasn't part of the orbit anymore. Dinner that night wasn't just dinner. It was an audition. My mother brought out our best dinnerware, the one she only used at Thanksgiving. Candles, wine, even my dad's special occasion bottle. I sat there, watching my parents sparkle with excitement I hadn't seen in years. Amanda spoke like a narrator introducing the hero of the story. "Blake is an executive at his family's real estate and investment company," she said proudly. "He's expanding into new markets." My father leaned forward immediately, suddenly alive. "Really? What areas are you expanding into?" Blake cut his steak with slow confidence, then said, "We're headquartered in Manhattan, but we're moving into Boston and Washington, D.C. The growth potential is huge." My mother practically clapped. "Boston, Amanda, you could move there, closer to family." Amanda smiled at Blake, like she was already imagining her new life. "I've been thinking about it." The conversation circled Blake again and again, like he was the sun. Hiring plans, business segments, market expansion. I tried to join once. "I actually just finished a huge project at work." My dad nodded without looking at me. "That's nice, Courtney." And then, immediately, "So Blake, what do you think about the Boston market?" It was like my words hit a wall and slid to the floor. That quiet humiliation, it stayed in my throat all night. Then Blake said something that changed everything. "I was just in Hawaii last month," he mentioned casually, sipping wine. "Kona's beautiful. Paradise, really." My mother's eyes lit up so fast it made me sick. "Hawaii," she whispered. "We've always wanted to go." My dad sighed, almost wistful. "Always, but it's expensive." Amanda leaned forward dramatically. "Wouldn't it be amazing if we could all go together someday?" For a second, the table went silent. Not because they didn't want it, because they all knew they couldn't afford it. And that's when I felt it. That tug inside me, that instinct to fix it, to be the person who makes dreams happen. I looked around the table, my parents beaming at Blake like he was a miracle, Amanda glowing beside him. And I thought, if I pay for the trip, maybe they'll look at me like that too. Maybe, just once, I'll be the reason their eyes light up. So I did it. I offered Hawaii. I offered $12,000. And they hugged me and thanked me and acted like I was the best daughter in the world. But now I understood something I hadn't understood that night. They weren't hugging me because they valued me. They were hugging me because I was useful. Back in the present, staring at those Kona photos, I felt rage rise like heat behind my eyes. They hadn't just taken my money. They had taken my moment. They had replaced me with Blake and then smiled for the camera like it was normal. I tried calling my mom. No answer. My dad. No answer. Amanda. Nothing. I texted, fingers shaking. "I know you're in Hawaii. Why did you lie to me?" Read. No response. That silence was louder than any confession. My chest tightened until breathing hurt. Then something in me snapped into focus. Crying wouldn't fix this. Begging wouldn't fix this. Yelling wouldn't fix this. They didn't deserve emotion. They deserve consequences. I opened my banking app, and with one calm, deliberate move, I locked the supplementary credit card tied to my account. The same card my mother had insisted she needed for bookings. The same card they were almost definitely using for dinners, tours, drinks, and luxury resort deposits. I stared at the screen when it confirmed, card locked. My hands were still shaking, but my voice, when I picked up my phone and called Matthew, my lawyer friend, was eerily steady. Matt, I said the moment he answered, I need legal advice, immediately. He sounded concerned. Courtney, what happened? My family took $12,000 from me for a Hawaii trip, and then went without me. There was a pause. Then his voice sharpened. They did what? I told him everything. The transfer, the texts, the fake account screenshots, the posts crediting Blake. Matthew listened quietly, then said, Okay, we have a case. We can pursue recovery for fraud or misappropriation. Do you have evidence of intent? I have messages from my mom asking me to transfer money for the family trip, I said, and the social media posts show they're there, without me. Then we move fast, he replied. But Courtney, once we do this, there's no going back. I looked at the photo again. My parents smiling with cocktail glasses at sunset, Blake in the center like the golden child. And I felt something terrifyingly calm settle over me. They already went back, I said softly. They went back the moment they erased me. The next morning, I was in Matthew's office signing paperwork with my jaw clenched so tightly it ached. He filed the case, and when I left, I didn't feel relief. I felt like I had lit a match in a dry forest. Because somewhere in Hawaii, my family was about to realize paradise isn't paradise when the money runs out. And the storm was about to hit them, fast. I didn't have to wait long. 2 days after locking the card, my phone began vibrating nonstop. First message, Mom. Card declined. Courtney, what's happening? Then another. We're trying to pay for dinner. This is very embarrassing. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened Instagram. Blake had posted a story. A photo of a luxury restaurant bill, nearly $600. Caption, family trip plus unexpected expenses. Not ideal. I stared at it for a long time. Unexpected. That word almost made me laugh. Minutes later, another story appeared. A photo of Blake at the resort front desk, jaw tight, forced smile. When you end up covering everyone because of technical issues. Technical issues. So that's what I was now. A technical issue. Amanda posted next. A picture of a canceled snorkeling tour. Dolphin tour canceled due to payment issues. So disappointing. I imagined them standing there in swimsuits, sunscreen on their noses, watching the boat leave without them. For a split second, I felt guilty. Then I remembered my father's fake medical excuse. My mother's calm voice saying she hadn't booked anything yet. Amanda's comment online. She's too busy with work. No, this wasn't guilt. This was balance. That afternoon, my phone rang. Dad. I let it ring 3 times before answering. The second I picked up, his voice exploded through the speaker. Courtney, what the hell are you doing? Why is the card locked? We're having serious problems here. I leaned back against my kitchen counter and spoke carefully. I should be asking you that. Why are you in Hawaii without me? Silence. Not long. Just long enough. Then he lowered his voice. You're misunderstanding. We just adjusted the plan. I let out a soft, disbelieving laugh. Adjusted? By lying about your health? By taking Blake instead of me? That's what you call adjusting? He sighed heavily, like I was the unreasonable one. Blake can help Amanda's career. His company is hiring. This is important for her future. There it was, finally. The truth. I felt something sharp twist inside my chest. So you stole from me to impress him? It's not stealing, he snapped. You have a stable career. Amanda needs this opportunity. We're family. Family. The word sounded foreign now. Family doesn't lie, Dad, I said quietly. Family doesn't erase their daughter from a trip she paid for. In the background, I heard Mom's voice. Tell her to reopen the card. We have 3 more days. 3 more days. Like that was the real emergency. Dad covered the microphone briefly, then returned. Courtney, reopen the card. We'll talk when we get home. I almost smiled. I thought Blake was a successful executive. Surely he can afford to pay for his girlfriend's family. Dad's patience snapped. Stop being ridiculous. This is our family business. No, I said evenly. It stopped being that when you lied to me. And I hung up. The messages flooded in after that. Mom, you're humiliating us. Amanda, Blake is reviewing my application. Now he thinks we have financial problems. Dad, call me immediately. I replied to Amanda with only one sentence. We do have a problem, not financial, moral. Then I blocked them. Later that evening, Matthew called. They've been served, he said calmly. Summons delivered this morning. I pictured my father opening an official envelope in a Hawaiian resort suite. Paradise interrupted by legal reality. They've already contacted a lawyer, Matthew added. A friend of your dad's. I let out a slow breath. Good. Let them feel it. Let them feel the same shock I felt when I opened that photo. The next day, Instagram told the rest of the story. Blake posted less. His smile faded in each picture. Amanda's captions became defensive. Sometimes vacations don't go as planned. Then a private post, visible only through my fake account. Blake saved the day, but I can tell he's not happy. In one photo, Blake's expression wasn't charming anymore. It was irritated, calculating. The man who had walked into our house like royalty was now stuck paying thousands in resort bills for a girlfriend's family drama. And I knew something my family didn't. Men like Blake don't tolerate chaos. They tolerate advantage. The moment the advantage disappears, so do they. A week later, they came home. 2 days after that, someone pounded on my apartment door. Hard. I walked quietly to the peephole. Dad. His face was red, veins visible on his forehead. In his hand was the court summons. He banged again. Courtney, open the door right now. My heart pounded, but I didn't move. Courtney Nelson, you sued your own parents? What is wrong with you? His voice cracked between fury and disbelief. I pulled out my phone instead of unlocking the door. Texted him. All communication goes through our lawyers. The pounding intensified. Open this door and talk like an adult. When did you become a stranger? That sentence hit deeper than the shouting. Because the truth was, I didn't become a stranger. They made me one. I stayed silent. After 10 long minutes, the pounding stopped. Through the peephole, I watched him walk away. He looked older, smaller. For a moment, my resolve wavered. Then my phone buzzed. Mom, you are the most selfish daughter I've ever known. Another message. We raised you, we sacrificed for you, and you repay us with a lawsuit? Amanda sent a paragraph. You've ruined my relationship with Blake. He broke up with me. Do you know what you've done? I read that twice. He broke up with her, but not because of me. A mutual friend later confirmed the truth. Blake discovered Amanda had been aggressively pushing for a job at his company before they were even serious. He felt used. And when the Hawaii chaos exposed cracks in the family's image, he left. He didn't want complications. He wanted control. And we were no longer impressive. 2 days later, Matthew called again. They want to settle, he said. Full repayment? Yes, $12,000, in exchange for you dropping the lawsuit and signing a confidentiality agreement. I sat down slowly. They wanted silence, not reconciliation. Silence. I'll accept, I said. Not for them. For closure. 3 days later, we met in Matthew's office. The air felt heavier than any courtroom. Mom looked tired, eyes red. Dad's shoulders slumped. Amanda didn't come. No one hugged me. No one apologized properly. They signed, wrote the check. And when it was done, my mother finally looked at me. Her expression wasn't sorrow. It was cold. From now on, you are no longer our daughter. The words didn't echo. They dropped. Heavy. Final. Dad didn't contradict her. He just placed a hand on her shoulder and walked out, leaving me sitting in a quiet office with a check in my hand. I had won, but it didn't feel like victory. It felt like amputation. The check cleared 3 days later. $12,000. A number that once represented generosity, then betrayal, now finality. I deposited it without hesitation. Not because I needed it, but because refusing it would have meant pretending none of it happened. And it did happen. Every lie, every silence, every "you're overreacting," it happened. 3 years passed. 3 quiet, heavy, uninterrupted years. No Christmas cards, no birthday messages, no accidental calls. Nothing. It was as if I had been digitally erased from the Nelson family registry. At first, I expected anger to fade. It didn't. It just changed shape. Anger turned into discipline. Discipline turned into obsession. I worked 12-hour days, sometimes 14. I buried myself in code, strategy meetings, infrastructure redesigns. A year after the lawsuit, I was promoted to technical director. 2 years later, I bought a new apartment overlooking Boston Harbor, floor-to-ceiling windows, quiet mornings, no emotional landmines. I invested aggressively. Index funds, emerging tech stocks, a carefully balanced portfolio. Ironically, the very $12,000 my parents had reluctantly returned became one of the early investments that multiplied the fastest. Sometimes I wondered if they knew, if they ever thought about how the selfish daughter handled money better than all of them combined. But the silence between us was thick, uncrossable. Matthew became more than just my lawyer. He became my Friday night poker partner, then my confidant. Through him, I built something I never expected to build again. A chosen circle. Friends who showed up. Friends who didn't compete. Friends who didn't measure worth by usefulness. We created our own traditions. Thanksgiving potlucks, summer hiking trips, birthdays that didn't feel like performances. It filled part of the void, but not all of it. There's a specific kind of silence that only family absence creates. It hums in the background, even during laughter. Through mutual acquaintances, I learned pieces of what happened after Hawaii. Blake ended things with Amanda just 2 weeks after the trip. He didn't like complications. He especially didn't like public embarrassment. Apparently, when he discovered Amanda had been aggressively maneuvering for a role in his company before they were serious, he felt manipulated. The irony almost felt poetic. The man my parents had practically crowned at that dinner table had walked away the moment things got inconvenient. Amanda eventually found a job at a small marketing firm. Nothing glamorous, nothing Manhattan-based. My parents still lived in Connecticut. Occasionally, I would glance at their social media. Family dinners, holiday photos, smiling faces. In some pictures, I noticed something, an empty chair at the edge of the table. My old seat. Sometimes I wondered, was that coincidence? Or guilt? Last month, my phone buzzed with a name I hadn't seen in years. Aunt Carol. Courtney, did anyone tell you? Your mom had a serious heart attack. She's in the hospital. My hand froze. No one had told me. Not Dad. Not Amanda. Not anyone. I stared at the message for 10 full minutes before typing. Is she stable? She survived, but it was bad. That night I didn't sleep. I kept replaying one memory over and over. Mom hugging me the day I announced Hawaii. Her voice soft, proud. Was that fake? Or was that real before things twisted? I didn't reach out. 3 years of silence is a thick wall. And I didn't know how to knock without reopening wounds. 2 days ago my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But I did. Courtney? Amanda's voice. It sounded thinner, fragile. Mom had heart surgery yesterday. The doctor says it's not looking good. Silence stretched between us. Then she said something that cut through everything. She kept calling your name before they took her in. My throat tightened. For a second, I was 30 again, standing in that lawyer's office while my mother declared I was no longer her daughter. But now she was calling my name. Amanda's voice cracked. Can you come? I didn't answer immediately. I said I'd think about it. And I meant it. Since that call, I've been sitting in my apartment, staring at the harbor, watching boats move in and out like nothing in the world ever fractures. I keep asking myself the same questions. If I go, am I weak? If I don't go, am I cruel? Did my parents betray me beyond repair? Or were they flawed people who made a terrible choice in a moment of ambition and favoritism? Was suing them justice? Or the beginning of permanent exile? 3 years ago, I chose self-respect. Today, I don't know what the right choice is. I know this. Money was never the real issue. The real issue was value, and whether I mattered. Now my mother is lying in a hospital bed, possibly thinking about the daughter she told she no longer existed. I don't know if I should walk into that hospital room. I don't know if forgiveness is strength or surrender. So I'm asking you, if you were me, what would you do? Because sometimes the hardest battles aren't in courtrooms. They're in hospital corridors. And this time, there's no lawyer to guide me.